Sharks are ancient predators that have lived on this planet longer than we have. With millions of years of evolution behind them, they are experts at tracking down, stalking, and hunting their prey. So it's perhaps no surprise that sometimes they can appear to come out of absolutely nowhere. In this video, we'll be showing you the 5 angriest sharks that have been caught on camera and seemingly appearing out of nowhere in events that would surely have scared even the most composed of people. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Great white shark. Great white sharks are one of the most feared animals on the planet. In truth, they aren't anywhere near as vicious as most people think, with their reputation having been exaggerated by movies like Jaws, but that doesn't mean they don't occasionally get involved in a ruthless encounter where they appear to come out of nowhere. Take this video that was shot in South Africa, for example. There are a number of places where you can go on shark watching tours with the chance to stand in a cage and come face to face with a great white. Chum, a mixture of live bait and dead fish, is thrown into the water to attract the beasts, and the smell of blood and food can whip them into a frenzy. This brings them to the surface and makes for a thrilling experience when you're within the cage. Luckily, they aren't usually able to break through the steel of a cage, but the poor fish don't stand a chance. Here, the video starts with chum that's been thrown out, and you can see the small fish swimming about and nibbling at the food that's been thrown in with them. Suddenly, without warning, the fish start to disperse and the camera zooms out. A shadow can be seen in the murky depths and the shark leaps out of the water, devouring all that it can catch in its gaping wide mouth. It lands back in the water, and you can see it land close to the boat, giving the cage that's mounted to the side a whip with its tail before submerging once again. The great white is simply huge and dwarfs the people inside the cage. It's a good thing they were behind the protection of the bars, otherwise it's unlikely they would have been left alone quite so easily. Of course, this is exactly what was meant to happen, and thousands of people visit great white hotspots every year for a chance to experience this for themselves. Part of the great allure is their ability at suddenly appearing out of nowhere, and it's certain to get the heart racing. Number 4. Reef shark. Parker Simpson is an experienced diver, and at the end of 2016, he was spearfishing in the warm waters of Middle Sambo Reef in the Florida Keys when he was victim to one of the handful of shark attacks towards humans that happens each year. He was filming himself trying to catch a fish when, out of nowhere, a giant reef shark appears. It first goes towards his friend, Justin, but changes its mind and goes after Parker. First, it bites on his left fin, then his right fin, and then thrusts forward and takes a chunk out of his leg. The shark, 8 feet long and more than capable of taking on a human, shows no fear as it grabs at him, and it was only because Parker's quick reacting friend was nearby that the diver managed to escape. He managed to force a spear gun into the mouth of the shark and scared it off. It swam back down to the depths with the gun still in its mouth. By that point though, the damage had already been done. They think the shark was initially tempted by the black grouper that he was holding at the time, but sensed a more tempting meal and went for him instead. Parker was left floating in the water with severe damage to his leg and skin flailing in the current. The shark's teeth had torn through his skin, fatty tissue, muscle, and his tibial artery, and he lost more than a liter of blood as a result. He was rushed to a local medical center where the bleeding was stopped, and he went into surgery to save his leg. After 3 hours on the operating table, he needed a total of 56 stitches to seal the wound shut. The medical expenses were beyond anything he could cover, so Parker has since set up a crowdfunding campaign to try to help cover the costs. It's incredibly rare for a shark to attack a human, and even more rare for someone to die from an attack. It usually only ever happens in a case of mistaken identity, because people wearing wetsuits can look very similar to seals, for example, and it seems likely something similar happened on this occasion. Number 3. Nurse sharks. When you're in the water, it can be tough to be fully aware of your surroundings. If you're in an area with sharks, this means they're able to sneak up on you without having any idea what's about to happen. This aerial video that was taken of a woman on a beach clearly shows how easy it is for this to happen. At the start, you can see that massive shoal of juvenile nurse sharks that have congregated near the beach, a common behavior when they're trying to hunt shoals of fish. It soon becomes clear though that there's a woman swimming in the water, completely oblivious to what's swimming just down the shore from her. As the sharks swim around in circles, she casually swims on her back. Next, she stood in the water and looking in the direction of the sharks, but still seems not to have spotted them. There must be over 100 sharks in the water, only a matter of feet away from her, and she still calmly walks around, looking out in all directions. You can see, as the sharks drift in closer to her, that they are bound to make contact. One of the sharks spots her and quickly swims away. She's clearly not a target for them, but sharks are known to take advantage of unintended prey, so there's still a risk for her at this point. Luckily, this disturbance gets her attention, and the reality of what's under the waves dawns on her. She runs for it, and in a few paces is in the shallows of the beach, much further in than the sharks would ever go, and completely safe. It's really easy for something like this to happen when there's not that many people on the same beach as you, and it must have given her quite the scare. Nonetheless, she managed to escape the encounter unscathed, and will be far more careful next time she wants to paddle in the sea. Nurse sharks aren't anywhere near as dangerous as other species, so she's lucky they were only there for the fish. Number 2. Tiger shark. There are a few notorious long-distance swims that athletes can attempt around the world, such as crossing the English Channel and facing the jellies and pollution, or swimming to Florida from Cuba and risking an encounter with more deadly fish. Another great challenge is the swim of the Kaiwi Channel between Molokai and Oahu in Hawaii. One of the most difficult swims that anyone can attempt, and that's before you think about the wildlife. Rainey Pierce took on the challenge in 2016. At first, the 28.5-mile trip began well. She dove in from the beach and was being accompanied by a safety canoe. The ocean is vast and deep around here, so even though this is a solo swim, it's vital there's help at hand to throw food and water to her, and be there just in case something goes wrong. And something very nearly did go wrong. Early in the afternoon, the kayaker spotted what he thought to be a shark and radios to the support boat. At this point, it's only a suspicion, but it's best to be prepared. He gets in close and puts a camera underwater to watch Pierce, but everything seems fine and she continues to swim. There's no easy way to warn her of what might be out in the depths, but she was soon to find out. Beneath the kayak, a shadow can be seen beneath the water and heading straight towards the swimmer. It gets close but keeps its distance for a while, presumably trying to figure out what it has found, and whether it constitutes as a meal. It remains at a distance, and the kayaker, having spotted it again, paddles in between the shark and the swimmer. The support boat also approaches to scare the shark off, but it still stays close by, not yet willing to give up. It simply wouldn't leave and followed her for a large part of her crossing of the channel. Eventually, she has no choice but to board the support boat to get safely clear from the shark. She wasn't able to complete the challenge this time, but with the ability for sharks to appear out of nowhere, it may take a few attempts before she's able to finally fulfill her ambition. It's just lucky she had such a brave kayaker with her, or this could have ended very differently. Number 1. Bull shark. This brings us to one of the most jaw-dropping shark videos that has ever been recorded, where a bull shark just appears out of nowhere to the shock of everyone around. Somewhere, thought to be along the Mississippi, it's a particularly miserable and rainy day, and a group of friends are fishing in the river from the comfort of their terrace. Thinking she's caught something, she starts to reel it in, and her friend lowers down the net to catch whatever it is. Just as he's about to fill the net, a giant bull shark jumps out of the water and devours whatever was on the end of that line. She's lucky it didn't pull her in with it. Possibly the best thing about this video, though, is their reaction to the appearance of the shark. "It's a shark! It's a shark!" they keep shouting in sheer terror and amazement at what just happened in front of them. It's a big-ass shark! Yes, it is a shark they saw, but it's actually only a medium-sized bull shark. It's likely the last thing they would have expected, too, because sharks are rarely seen swimming in rivers. In fact, the only species known to do so is the bull shark. While they usually live in salt water, they've been known to swim up the Mississippi River and can survive in brackish or even fresh water. They're particularly aggressive sharks, as you can see from this video, and are thought to account for the majority of near-shore human attacks on the rare occasions that that they do happen. These people were very lucky that they were at such a height from the river and not any closer, because bull sharks are more than capable of leaping high out of the water and snatching prey before dragging it back to the depths. In this case, fortunately, all they lost was a fish and their time. Super exciting news, everybody. The time has finally come. Head over to Come Along and enjoy the positivity from cool life hacks and crazy experiments to real-life shocking facts and puzzles and animated riddles to keep your brain active and entertained. Click the circle button on the screen right now to subscribe to this awesome channel that's soon to explode across YouTube. Come on, press that subscribe button and watch the first video, or click the link in the description. We promise you'll love it.